You are now watching the Vision Channel, where Habakkuk 2 and 2 says, write the vision and make it plain, so they that see it can take it and run with it. This is the channel where faith and vision collide to bring forth a manifestation. You're watching the Vision Channel. So when we minister, we're ministering from pain, from revelation, from transformation. We minister from these places. And we truly love for people to learn from our experiences. So we correlate Bible, things that God has revealed to us, and personal experiences, testimonies. Because the Bible said we overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. So we give words of our testimony so that if you are in a trial similar to ours, then you know that a testimony will come out of the trials that you are experiencing, because God has given you a word of testimony. And this is the moment of truth, that if your relationship is in a challenge or in a trial, then you know that relationship must be real significant when it comes to the kingdom of God, because that relationship is being challenged. And there's no relationship that God himself has allowed us to interact with, to come in, to be a part of, and that relationship is attacked. It means that Satan sees the strength of that relationship. And tonight, we're going to talk about what the root of marriage is, what the foundation of marriage is, and we're going to get into it. But before I can get into what I consider to be this relationship, I want to express to us and mention this to say, this is the season of elevation. It's elevation don't look like elevation. That anytime God is calling you to go to a next place, then that elevation does not look like elevation. You only see the elevation when you come out of it. And there are many marriages that God has called that marriage to go to the next level in him. He's calling these people, and it looked like, because of the challenges, because of the trial, because of the frustration, it looked like that marriage is stuck. That marriage is not stuck. That marriage is at the place where God is about to elevate that relationship. And frustration only came because the enemy see future. Yes, he know about the destiny of that relationship. So he's trying to bring in division. And this is the season of elevation. This is the season of growth. This is the season of increase for your entire life. And God is getting ready to enlarge your territory. He's getting ready to move you forward from what tried to hinder you or what tried to stop you. This is that season. I got it. This is that season where God is about to elevate you and your responsibilities and in your life. This is the season of supernatural growth for you. So don't be disturbed or deterred by a fight, by a misunderstanding, about confusion, because you know if there's confusion, the Bible said that God is not the author of confusion. So there is another author that's trying to pencil in something in your life to try to dictate your destiny or alter your destiny. So he's trying to bring in division, bring in doubt, bring in fear. But tonight we're going to talk about this, because if your relationship is attacked, then the enemy understands what's attached to that marriage, what's attached to that relationship. He knows that this is the season of elevation. Elevation, where God accelerates and places this relationship in a different place. I'm telling you tonight that your relationship is going to the next level. You may be down now. You may be in pain now. You may have had a fight now, but that relationship, that fight, and how you feel does not dictate where you're going. And today, the elevation that God is going to take, please, because this marriage has been in this place too long. And some of you are seeing the same repetitive cycle over and over and over and over again. And this is not because of your husband. This is not because of a wife. This is not because of that. Often the enemy will try to bring you or make you pay attention to something that is insignificant and make it significant. Well, you know, you ain't clean the cup. You ain't clean my cup. You cleaned every other cup, but you didn't clean my cup. And oftentimes you'll go in situations and strife will come. Fights will come because this person's cup was not clean. So you're saying this person is not clean. It's not that at all. The enemy is trying to get you to focus on something and fight about something because he sees the future. He sees the door is open to your next level. He understands it. So he's trying to stop something now. We know his pedigree in John chapter 10 and verse 10. The thief cometh not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So his whole pattern is to steal. But what is his preference and what is he trying to steal when he intervenes and happen or comes in an individual's life? And oftentimes we miss the enemy. And the enemy reduces us down to our flesh, reduces it down to the other person, and not understanding that he can show up as an angel of light. And this enemy has a ability to shapeshift, to shift the blame and the responsibility on somebody else after he created havoc. And we miss it in the moment. We can miss because of mayhem and because of misfortune. We'll miss the moment that God intended for us to have by fighting one another, when the Bible said you don't wrestle against flesh and blood. So he plays the accuser. The Bible calls him in Revelation chapter 12. He is the accuser of the brethren. And because of pain and misfortune, the enemy, you'll jump on the enemy's team because you'll start accusing somebody that the enemy is trying to project the situation on. Okay, I'll give you a prime example. And I'll say this because some people get in relationships and it looked like the relationship goes south. It appears that it goes south. You finally got with your boo or your bae. You finally got with somebody that you consider to be your sweetheart. And all of a sudden, the second that you get in that relationship or you get married, when you were in your dating stage, everything was fine. You didn't have any problem. You didn't have any circumstance. When you were in the dating stages, everything was sweet. You can communicate right. You can talk all night when you were in the dating stages. But the second that you got married, that's when things became complicated and you thought that you were in danger and you used the word divorce. And many people use that word. Watch, if you don't use it outwardly, you say it inwardly. You're ready for a divorce. And you say, and this is the statements that we make when things don't go our way. I was doing fine until I met you. I didn't have none of these issues. I didn't have none of these problems. I didn't have none of these circumstances until we got married. My finances was in the right place. I didn't have any health challenges. Everything in my life was fine. My bank account was where it was needed to be. I didn't have any problems with my credit. But now, since I got with you, it looked like you are the problem. Since you came into my life, all these things have been added to my life, and you don't see. It's your fault. So all of a sudden, because we can't see the opposition, we see the opposition, but we don't see the accuser. So the accuser, because of the afflictions, because of the attacks on the finances, because of the attacks on the body, because of the attacks in the mind, because of the attacks in the circumstance, because of those attacks, we see the person, but not the problems, not the spirit that was behind the problems. So we blame the person and we jump on the accuser side, and we have complications in our marriage. And it brings division in the house, and the house cannot stand. And we didn't realize that at the moment the attack came, God had already assigned for the elevation. So the key word for us tonight in our topic of area of discussion, yes, it's elevation, but your marriage is only elevated through love. And I don't know if we truly in the body of Christ often can define what love is. Now, we have a biblical definition of what love is, but we have a humanistic interpretation of what we think love is. And oftentimes, the human interpretation becomes greater than God's revelation. So if it's not according to what we understand, then we can't comprehend it, and we say that that is not love. So we're going to pull up a couple of scriptures, but I'm going to allow my wife to express something because I know she's over there bubbling. And we're going to ask her tonight, my first question to you tonight is in reference to why can we not identify the enemy's devices? When a device is being released against a relationship or a marriage that's significant to God, then why can we not identify the device?
Well, before I get into that, so you asked them why we can't identify love. Sometimes the person doesn't know what love is. They believe love is, I have a feeling on the inside and my body feels some kind of way when I see this person. My eyes get glossy and glassy, and so that's what love is. And that's not what love is. If we look at the spiritual part of love, God said love is patient, love is kind.
That's exactly where I was going.
So if love is patient and love and kind, he didn't say anything about how I feel on the inside. God didn't say, oh, Nikki made me feel so much love because she worshiped me, she honored me. That's not what the Bible states. And I'm just going to use those two because he gives a laundry list of what love is. But love is patient and love is kind. So if you are... Now, there's nothing wrong with being physically attracted to someone. No problem with that. Whatever. but that cannot be your driving factor. So when you meet someone and you might say, oh, she's nice looking, or oh, he's handsome. But you're not saying, ooh, look at that piece of chocolate. I'm starving from chocolate. Where's my glass of milk? You know, if you're doing all that, then then that's the wrong way to be attracted to someone. You could say that person is attractive and keep on going. However, to get back to the subject, the reason why people are not able to truly identify what God says love is because they have been living off of past experiences. And number one, for those who are advanced before marriage.
Oh, okay.
So
That's great word. That's great choice word.
So I was trying to make sure my words were choice. So those who are advanced before marriage makes idolatry of what they experience in that premarital affairs that you may have had. They equate that to be love. How that person makes me feel. How that person, does this to me or whatever. And that is not love. And if we were a people, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying I was a virgin until marriage or anything like that. But if we, lies you tell. So if we were to do what God has called us to be, was to keep ourselves until marriage, that physical attraction would not have to be there, because you don't know what's good. You don't know what's bad. You only know what God is, and God is patient, and God is kind. So in that, you will be able to surrender yourself and know, hey, this person is meant for me because God ordained this person for me. And somebody said, well, do God tell you who your wife or your husband is? Yes, he can. He can inform you who that individual is. He may not sometimes, because you may jump on him like he's the last chicken on the plate, or you may jump on her like that's the last ice cream ever being made. So, sometimes some people are not privy to that information. Is because God knows your reaction. He knows how you're going to respond to that. But is there people that God has informed them who their spouse is? 100%. Yes, I do believe that. I understand how that process works and all that. And but to get back on subject, because I know somebody said that's why I had to say it out loud. But if we were to hold tight to our virginity prior to marriage, we would not have a comparison. And in comparison, that's what leads to what they think love is, a physical emotion. And love is not a physical emotion. Love is, they believe love is contact. What I can touch, what I can feel, what I can see. And that's not
Five senses.
That's not what love is. If you are able to deal with the person when they're going through battles, mental battles, physical battles, emotional battles, financial battles, whatever the battle is, yes, you may be hurting because what's going on, but if you still willing to stay with that person through the trenches and help them build them through a disease, through sicknesses, through financial woes, through mental health issues, through whatever the issue that the individual may be having, are you willing to stick by that person going through whatever they're going through? And that is love. That's the love that God shows us, because he's willing to stay with us and help us until you truly just kick him out. You have to kick God out. He is there always fighting for you to gain him, because it's truly a benefit for us, and for him, it is too, but it's truly a benefit for us if we learn to serve God and love God for who he is and not what he can do. And that's what true love is being with that person. Now, do you have to like him all the time? No. Sometimes I don't like my husband. Sometimes he don't like me, but I still love him. I don't like him for something that happened, a situation that may go down. I don't like how he responded, or vice versa. He doesn't like how I responded. But the whole way to get through that is opening our mouth and communicating. Terrence, I don't like it when. Nikki, I don't like it when. This hurt me when. You did this, it made me feel da 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 da. If you are able to communicate and talk and say how you feel, if it's elevated, it's elevated. If it's a mild tone, it's mild tone. But you have to be able to express that out so you won't harbor that in your heart, and then you quote unquote get out of love because you feel like I can't express nothing to this person because they always cut me off. I can't express nothing to this person because, they do this, whatever the situation is or whatever. They don't listen. They just say, oh, okay, and, walk away or whatever. But you have to be able to express it, and you have to be able to receive it. In the receiving part, do you always want to receive it? No. Who wants to receive hate, this all the time? But you have to receive it and then work through it. What is it that we could do to make the situation better? So, what love is patient. Love is kind. Love is being there for that person, no matter what situation going on, no matter how, it is or whatever. Especially, I always think about my great-grandparents. I was young when both of those people, when both of them passed, but they watched me while my mom went to work, because my mom had to go back into the work field after my parents divorced, and I was there with them, and I saw what true love was. Now, mind you, these people are in their early 80s, mid 80s, and I still saw them holding hands. I still saw them going out to their backyard picking pecans, and I think they was using me as a child labor laws was probably in effect because I thought it was fun, but I would see them and, we would all pick the pecans or pecans, however you used to say it, in the backyard, and I would see them holding hands. I would see them loving each other. I would watch him as my grandmother, she had a stroke, I do believe, and her speech was impaired. And he would still bow down and, kiss her on the cheek or kiss her on the forehead or kiss on the lips or whatever he wanted to kiss her, even though she's going through a hardship. He was there for her. And I saw that as a young child. So, of course, I desired that same thing in my relationship. And that truly is love. He didn't, she wasn't able to cook like, she used to, and he didn't want to throw her away. Oh, you can't cook. Oh, I'm going out and doing what I want to do, even though he's in his mid 80s. But, anything could have happened, and he could have said, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to be with you, and you going through this situation. But it wasn't that. It was the polar opposite. He was there for her. He cared for her. He made sure that her needs were met in the situation. And that's the true ideal of love in a marriage. Being there for that person, comforting that person when they're going through, knowing that, whatever they go through together, they're doing it together. And yes, my great-grandfather, he expired before she did. And it wasn't too long, and then she expired because, been together that long. It's like, I'd rather be with him than to be here on earth. And that's truly the epitome of love to me. If the love is so great because y'all been together for 50 plus years, and it's like, Lord would take me.
Part of you left.
Yes, Lord, take me.
It was really to death do them part.
True. Yes, that was the true death do us part. So,
one of the things I'm going to say that when you really get in a relationship, or marriage, when you come into marriage, do you understand what death means? To death do us part mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times we say it. I think a lot of times we make the statement and we say, unto death do us part, but I don't believe that we truly know and understand the depths of what death is.
Mm-hmm.
That statement means that you're telling God that I'm willing to stay with this person until I get my perfection.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a perfection that we have. This perfection means we leave these fleshly bodies, and then we go get our spiritual bodies. So when we tell God, until death do us part, that means I'm going to stay with you until my perfection come, my perfected body come. And I think many times in counseling that these are things that are never discussed. What is your meaning of what love is? You know, and people, you know, we candidly use the word, we throw the word love out there, and we try to use the word love as in ice cream, as in my mom's apple pie, as in Popeye's chicken, French's chicken. I love the steak that comes from Killings, you know, barbecue. You know, we use that word love, and we throw this word out without having true understanding and definition. So you love, so my thing for, since you love that, if you love cookies, you love ice cream, this is something else you made. Somebody else made for you. But love is what you make for somebody. Love is when you're being made for that someone. So if you love things being made for you, man, I love going to this restaurant. I love doing this. So if you love this, somebody else made it so that you can taste it, so you can enjoy it. So my question to you, have you been made love? Have you become the chef to where somebody else can taste and see what you have become the chef, and you've become the love? So now you can issue it out, and now you can give it. So, and you said something, you said love is patient. Now, these are characteristics of what love is. And I think this has been the challenge because many people don't know the true characteristics of what love is. They just think love is just love. It's just one facet. Love means there's no condition. It's unconditional. And if you're functioning from the place of condition, if it's conditional, that when tough seasons come, you're going to find a way to try to deviate away from that relationship. And oftentimes you say you love something, but you didn't know the full characteristics of something. So you won't know and be able to define love because you'll want to be loved and not give it. And I think this is the challenge, like you expressed earlier, that you said people get involved in relationships and what they think love is. So they think love is physical, is contact. They think not getting in contact, but physical contact. Touching, but not getting in touch with an individual. So this is what we consider to be love. So when nobody touches you, you feel like you're out of touch and you can't get in touch with the person's heart because they haven't touched you. So, and I think this is what people define love, and when they don't get what they want, they say, you don't love me. When a conversation doesn't go the way they desire, they say, you don't love me. So when things are not given to them based on their perspective, based on the last relationship, then they feel that they're not loved. But my question is, if you're focused on your past, then why aren't your past in your future? If your past was that great and you say that you loved your past, but why isn't your past in your future? Because the past is not in your future because the characteristics of what you consider to be love was not valid. Was it sex? Because if it was sex, then it wasn't love. If you felt for the humanistic part, if you felt for performance, okay, most people fall for performance. How good a person performs with their touch. So because of their touch, and you've tasted the touch, you think that this is what love is. But the second there's no touch, then there's no talk, and all of a sudden confusion and fights come because you thought this was love and it was never love. It was only a touch.
Physical.
And you couldn't get in touch with the person when they didn't give you what you want. And all of a sudden you felt ashamed, you felt hurt, you felt rejected, you felt like you was by yourself because this was the touch. They never got in touch with you. And so you based your entire life over somebody who touched you but never got in touch with you. And it was a performance. And many people are struggling because of performance. And so this is why relationships, and you keep looking for, okay, and I'll explain it from this place, and I'm still going to talk about the scripture. I'll explain it from this place. So it's just like someone who gets high for the first time. I've never gotten high in my life. So, but I've had friends to get high.
hired.
No, high.
High.
Like drugs.
Okay, drugs.
So the reason people use the paraphernalia again, because they keep chasing that high, trying to get the same experience that they got the first time. So it is with drugs, that this person that you've engaged yourself with, it has become like a drug to you, and now you're chasing that same high. So even if that relationship don't work, you go back trying to find that same high through somebody else, and you don't get that high because it was never love. It was never love. It just got you high for the moment, but at some point you had to come down. And you keep chasing the exact same thing, and you keep trying to call it love, but it's not love. So here are some of the characteristics of love. She utilized, and I'll give you the scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 7. One of the characteristics, love is patient. Can I give you some biblical references tonight to show you somebody or two people that expressed love in such a way that was uncommon to people? Okay. The first person that I'm going to express is going to be a male. Yes. That expressed his love, that it showed one of the characteristics of who this individual was, and you can tell he carried the character of God. He knew what love was. And I know that people say, what love got to do with it? Love has everything to do with it, because if love is not the foundation, if it's not the foundation, then this relationship will never work. And so okay. Before I get into the biblical character, the person that sung the song that I'm telling you about, what love have to do with it, was Tina Turner. And Tina Turner based that song off of her last relationship, because how she was treated. So now she would sing millions, she would sing to millions, make millions of dollars off of her pain, but get married, and still express love. What does love have to do with it when a heart can be broken? So entering into her next relationship, she was still shattered by the pain of the last relationship. Now she's singing a song, and women in America and men in America were singing a song based on her pain. So we develop a stigma, a mentality, a phobia, a mindset that we're not going to trust anybody. So we're going to go into the next relationship based on what the last relationship did to us. So we're not going to give that person an opportunity or a chance. Go to 1 John chapter 4. I think it's in verse 18. What does 1 John chapter 4? If you're going into a relationship or in a relationship and you do not trust that individual, you don't trust the individual, then why would you make somebody suffer for somebody else? Make someone, the new person, suffer because of the pain of what somebody else did to you. So you go in, not with your whole heart. You go into it with 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
You said 1 John?
1 John chapter 4, verse 18. What does it say?
There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear has torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love.
Please hear this. So if you go into a relationship and true love is not there, you go into it afraid. You go into it with some type of stigma that if this happens, I'm going to have a secret bank account. I'm going to have my money over here, that money over there. So if it don't work, it ain't going to work. So you go into it, and listen, you're programming failure in your future before you ever get there.
Absolutely.
And because your love was not made perfect. You have not been made perfect in love. So because there's no perfection, there's going to be a problem. When the problem arises, you're going to want to leave that relationship because you were never perfected. Perfection doesn't start with people. Perfection starts with God. And if your heart is not purified, you're going to get into that relationship with a stony heart. That heart was not made flesh. That heart was not healed. And I want you to hear this. If you break a glass and look at it, the broken glass, the person is not broken, the glass is. But the reflection from the glass will only show that the person is broken. And many people that have a broken heart is looking at the person is whole, but you're broken.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the imagery of that individual that's looking at you, you'll see them broken, and you won't see that yourself and your heart has been shattered. And your image is incorrect, and you're going to that relationship with fear, not love. You're going to it, and it's not perfected. You were not perfected, so you're going to cause a problem in that relationship, and everything that looks like the last relationship will cause a problem in the current relationship because you have not been here. Don't touch me like that. Johnny touched me. Sarah did this. Don't do it. So you'll start referring to other names. And if a person doesn't understand and don't know, they'll become offended by the issue, and there'll be some type of confrontation in that relationship because what Sarah did, and all of a sudden you'll see that they've never left Sarah. The pain is still there. The animosity is still there. The aggression is still there. So everything is still there because they were never perfected in that place called love. They're still operating out of their pain. So they're spewing and putting their pain from their past on somebody who's in their present. And the person from the present have to suffer based on what they went through in their past because they never transitioned into what real love was, perfection. So when the Bible said the characteristics, one is patient. The biblical references that I'm going to use tonight in patience, the first person I'm going to use is the trickster. Jacob. Trickster. The heel grabber. Okay. The supplanter. The one who would try to steal birthrights. This one. I'm going to tell you some significant things about Jacob. All of Jacob's life, and I want us to hear this, and I want us to be able to use some of the characteristics of Jacob because some of those characteristics of Jacob reflect God. Okay. When Jacob was born, the Bible gives us the indication that while they were still in the womb, in his mother's womb, him and Esau, that Jacob was wrestling in the womb of his mother. The Bible said Esau comes out first, but Jacob grabs his heel. That he refuses to let him go. And listen, this is in his baby stage. This is in his baby stage. And I want people to hear this, that he's a baby, but he still knows how to hold on. That while he's in a tight place because he's in the womb, he still knew how to hold on to somebody who was coming out. And I truly believe that if you're going to operate in this season of elevation and love, you're going to have to be able to hold on to somebody while you're still in your tight place, while you're still in it. It may not be your time to come out, but you can hold on to somebody and not let that heel go or not let that person go until you come out of your situation. You have to be able to honor that. So we can't get mad at one another because you got a promotion and I didn't get one. I can't get offended because God opened the door for you to get this or God opened the door for you to get that. You came out first and I'm offended because I've been in it longer than you. It's not the sign of me being patient. And you know that Jacob, when he was a kid and when he became an adult, he got hurt. Him and God had a wrestle. And he said, I refuse to let you go until you bless me. And there are some things that you're going to have to implement and use in your own life that I refuse to let this marriage go. I refuse to let this marriage die. I refuse to go into divorce, God, until you bless me. I know that my outcome is going to change, and I refuse to leave until it changes. I love you with all of me, so I'm going to trust you in this. Even though I can't find you, even though I was hurt in this, I'm still going to trust you, and I'm going to hold on because this is my love. And he was patient. Now, just hear me, because we live in the microwave era. We live in a generation where we don't like to wait on anything. So microwaves are good. They are good because you can push a button and set a time, and we set the time, and when the time goes off, we assume that the meal is prepared. So what we do, because we don't have patience, we try to set the time when the circumstances is going to be over. We try to set the time when the problem is going to end. So we try to set the time because we're using our physical and capable abilities because we don't have patience. So we're trying to calculate the time, not understanding that according to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it said there was a time and season for every purpose that's under. There's a time to live. There's a time to die. There's a time to laugh, and there's a time to cry. So these are times, but yet we are trying to push our time because we don't have patience, and we don't understand that this is a season and this is a time. So you can't set the time when God has calculated what time is going to take for you to come out of there, and God is testing your patience. So our issue is we waited on the person. We waited. I waited 5 years to get married. So you waited 5 years, but you were never perfected in patience. Your perfection, your waiting was never perfected because you were waiting on the person. You were not waiting on God. You were waiting on the person. So you were waiting on somebody that you thought would bring you perfection or bring you into your wholeness or completeness. You were waiting on somebody that you thought was going to be God. You thought was going to be perfected. So when you got in a relationship, you found out the person wasn't God because you were waiting on the person. See, and this is one of the challenges that we have because you were waiting, but you wasn't waiting right. Ooh. You were waiting on the person. But my problem is this. How could you have patience to wait for 5 years but can't wait 5 months for God? While you're in the relationship. While you're in it, all of a sudden you have a problem, but you waited 5 years for the person, but now you can't wait 5 minutes. Now you can't wait 5 days. Now you can't wait 5 hours. Now you can't wait 5 minutes. Now you can't wait 5 seconds because you don't have patience, but you had patience to wait until you got your itch.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you waited.
No, you got the itch scratched.
Yeah, you waited 5 years to get in the boom boom room. So you waited those 5 years to get in that relationship, but now the relationship is having some complications, and you can't wait 5 hours. You're ready to leave the relationship because now you don't understand that this is a season and a time, and you're saying, "I'm tired of this. I'm frustrated. I don't have no strength." So you don't wait for God to give you a decision on what you need to do in the relationship. So you ran out of strength when the Bible said, "Those that wait upon the Lord, He shall renew their strength, and they shall mount up as wings as eagles, and they shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." So these are steps and ladders for waiting. Do you have the characteristics to wait on God while a problem takes place in your relationship? That was a story that my mother and them used to watch when I was young. It was called As the World Turns. Do you have the ability to wait on God as the world turns? Because if the earth rotates in a 360-degree axis, do you know what this means? That you're only at the 180. You don't know what God is getting ready to do when He's turning around. He's going to change your circumstance even though you're at the 180 mark, but he's going to bring it all the way full circle, and he's going to make that relationship as if it's brand new. But do you have the patience to wait? So Jacob, get back to him. Now I'm going to try to conclude. I won't be able to get to everything tonight. Jacob waited 7 years first. He worked and he waited. How many people are working and waiting? I told you, it's how you wait. It's how God develops your patience and how you're going to wait. And are you working or are you just waiting? See, some people are waiting and not working.
Yep. And that's when they come to complaining.
So the only thing we see working is your lips. Yes, God develops you. He develops you, and after you're developed, then he'll bring your significant other to you. But you have to work and you have to wait. And God was developing Jacob and allowing Jacob to work for what he wanted, but he made him wait. And see, this is where many people get deceived. Before you get the right one, you marry the wrong one. Because he was waiting for Rachel, but got Leah. And if you are impatient, Leah will show up before Rachel. And you'll be deceived, you'll be hurt, thinking that it's the right one, but it would be the wrong one because you didn't have patience to wait. Jacob had patience not only to wait 7 years, but Jacob had patience to wait for 14 years. No microwave moments. And that was a perfection that had taken place in his life because he can wait and work for what he wanted. Because when he looked at Rachel, it said he loved Rachel. He loved Rachel. So he would work and he would wait for what he wanted because he had the love and the patience of God. Love is patient. He was showing the characteristics of one of the attributes that he had, that God has, is love. For God is love. So God was shaping him and forming him to be his image and his likeness. But one of the image and likenesses of God is love. And he didn't care about the condition. That nobody could deceive him and take him out of what he believed in and what he said he loved. Not even the father, Laban, could deceive him out of getting Rachel. He was working and he was waiting. So every time he needed strength, he would work for it. Oh, he needed strength. God would renew his strength. For 14 years, he would go through the same thing every single day for 14 years. Can you calculate that? 365 times 14. So people can get a clear understanding of what I'm trying to give a reference to tonight.
5,110.
Can you hear what I'm saying? 5,110 days.
It's a lot of days.
That this man had to wait 14 years.
Oh, I did 360. Oh, yeah, I did 365.
365 days a year. This man was working and waiting. It showed that he had the love and the patience of God. Some of us, we only wait for 1 year and we say it's over. We wait, so we get into a marriage or get into a relationship because we're tired of waiting. And this has become the problem. So when a problem arises in your relationship, it won't work. You're saying that it won't work because you never let God finish the work that he had in you when you were single and you was by yourself. So you didn't allow him to develop the patience. So now you think that the other person is the problem. And you became the problem because you were never in a place of perfection. Now, the other person I'm going to use, and we're going to probably conclude and do a part 2 to this, is even though Jacob waited for Rachel and he mistreated Leah, Leah had more love for Jacob than Jacob had for Rachel. If Jacob waited 14 years, how long did Leah wait? Leah would have children. God would come down and say it. God said because he opened Leah's womb because he saw that she was hated.
Yep.
So these are seasons that you can come in where you and your spouse don't see eye to eye. And you may say, I can't stand their guts today. These are seasons that you're going to come into. But how many seasons did Leah interact? See, I'm going to tell you something. Leah outlived who he loved. Leah outlived Rachel because Rachel was who he loved. Leah outlived him because of the love that she had for him. I'm just hear what I'm saying. This woman, Jacob waited 14 years. We always talk about Jacob, he waited 14 years for who he loved. He waited 14 years, but how many years did Leah wait? And every child she would have. Oh, that my husband would love me. Oh, that my husband would pay attention to me. Oh, that my husband would come to me. She would wait for years. And Rachel was dying, and Leah was still living and operating out of love and still waiting. She had the true authenticity of the love and the characteristics of God. I want y'all please hear me. Please hear me. And even though her children played games, and they tried to kill and they desired to kill Joseph, I want you to hear this. But because of the love of Leah, Leah left a legacy. The legacy that she left was love. Because when God saw when Leah wasn't loved, he loved her. I want y'all to hear me. So because of the love of Leah, God left a legacy and allowed her children to be part of the patriarchs, the 12 patriarchs of the tribe of Israel. But many of them came through the love of a person that had patience to wait on somebody called Jacob that she loved. My question to us tonight, do you have the patience to wait on God to change who you say you love?
Come on.
Or do you have patience enough to wait on God to change you? Because the love that you think that you have is not in you. Do you have that patience to wait? We only got to the love is patient. And please see what it's saying. It makes a definite. It is.
It is.
It's a definite. Love is. So you cannot say that you love and then tomorrow you get in some type of discussion and all of a sudden your mannerism change, your vernacular change, everything changes about your life when you say love is. Okay, so do you know that love is not about you? Okay, if I say I have some money, okay? You said, well, I need $1,000. So if you come to me and you ask me for the $1,000, that means I'm the supplier. So whatever you need, I have it. And I truly believe people are bankrupt saying that they got money. They're saying that they have love, but they bankrupt. Yeah. Many of them are trying to leave IOUs because they don't have it. They say that they love, but they don't have the love. So it's impossible for them to be able to give when they function from the place of bankruptcy. Some of them are in foreclosure because they didn't pay the last loan. They didn't pay on the last relationship. So some of their relationships are in foreclosure because they didn't have the sufficiency to continue to pay it monthly, to continue to do it monthly. So they ran out of resources because they never went back to the source. And the source was trying to tell them, I'm trying to stop you from going into spiritual and relational foreclosure. And this has been the challenge in relationships because when God needed to develop them, when God was trying to finish making them, they left before time because they thought this was the time. Okay. If you're trying to get married for a booty call, I'm sorry. Sooner or later, somebody ain't gonna answer. Okay. Sooner or later, somebody gonna block you. If you're doing this for a booty call, sooner or later, you're gonna be star 69.
Star 69.
Star 67. Somebody is going to block you. Call ID. No.
I don't think they had that in
Oh, I'm just dating. I'm dating myself.
yourself,
I'm dating
yes,
myself. Okay.
yes.
Whatever it is, whatever they do now, these apps that they have, blockers and all this other stuff. So this is the stuff. But do you have patience? I guess we're going to have to walk through this. I guess we're going to do just more than one night. We're going to talk about the characteristics, all of it. Love is patient. And if you don't have patience, please hear me. You will never be successful in any relationship.
I just want to go back to where you was talking about the spiritual foreclosure on love. And only thing that I could think about is when you do go into foreclosure, it's going to stay with you on your credit for 7 years. So you think that you're getting away from the relationship, but your mind is still connected to the relationship.
Wow.
Is it 7 years? Is it 17 years? Is it 27 years?
Wow.
Until you can truly break up with the issue, meaning putting it under the blood of Jesus, meaning asking God to cleanse you from that situation and to remove those soul ties from that relationship, until you are warring against your past, then that spiritual foreclosure is still going to be lingering on to you. It's going to follow you everywhere you go. It's going to follow this relationship. It's going to follow the next relationship that you're in. It's going to follow you until you ask God to help you get rid of it, until you call it what it is, a soul tie. And then you constantly praying against spiritual soul ties with these individuals. You know, you have to break that and break those issues that you had as well. So you can say, oh, I'm broken for the person, but then you still bring that baggage to that next relationship because so-and-so did this, so I know I need to do this in this relationship. No, you cannot. You got to leave that in wherever it is. If it's in 2023, leave it in 2023 and ask God to close those doors, close those portals that are connected to that issue and move forward. It's a reason why God has us to walk forward and we don't walk backwards to get where we're going. It's a reason that we drive forward and we don't drive backwards all the time. Why? He put our eyes in the front of us. He didn't put eyes in the back of our head. Because if we had eyes in the back of our head, then that's the way we're going to walk, right? He put eyes in the front of our head. That means you need to look forward. He didn't put eyes on the side of our head. Yes, we do have peripheral vision, but that peripheral vision is just to remind us where our fault was, what the issue that I had, and I know I can't continue to look at that. I got to look forward. And if you're going forward and you're moving forward, then you got to leave Blojo and Homegirl in the past and close those spiritual doors to Blojo and Homegirl so you can truly have the love that God has ordained for you to have, His love. And if you truly block all that out and ask God to help you to remove those spiritual soul ties that you have with that individual and you go forward, you're going to have what me and you have. That's what you're going to have.
That's it.
But in your own way, not saying
Just
you
say
got
you're
to
be like us.
Yeah, we not cookie cutter, don't, because you probably can't survive what we went through, or vice versa. I probably wouldn't survive if I went through what you went through.
Yeah.
So, through, as your vows say, through richer or poor, in sickness and in health, we truly have lived that. From poor to richer, because it ain't rich to poor. We were poor, now we're richer. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, all of that is richer. And then in sickness and in health, and yeah, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. So that is truly the epitome of what we have been through. And I'm not saying we are the only people that have been through it. There's other couples that have been through it as well and are, spiritual role models to some people, or role models so they can see if they were able to survive it, why we can't survive it. No, we don't have to walk in the cookie cutter of them, but we're going to blaze our own path. And we still going to have the one goal. And the one goal is making sure we stay connected to the Father. And that's how everybody, just as the son, my husband, he knows that I'm fascinated by mountains, the sun, the moon, and stars. I love, because it's like God created that. He created those stars. He created that rainbow for us or whatever. He created the mountains through whatever it went through. But anyway, so I look at the sun, and you know how we draw the sun, it's a circle, and then it has the rays and stuff like that. So the core of that is truly his son. And the rays of it is us. And our whole focus is to stay connected to the sun. So we are the rays. We are his shining here on earth to reflect who his son is. And you have to remember that whatever the situation that you're going in, I am a ray of the sun. I am a ray from God, and God is allowing me to live in this earth. Then I need to do whatever I need to do to stay focused on him in my relationships, natural relationships, in my relationship spiritually, in my relationship with my spouse. I have to make sure that I stay focused on what I need to stay focused on, and that is God, making sure we're staying connected with God. My way is not your way is not my way. But as long as your mindset is focused on the Father, and you allow him to be those rays of sunlight, meaning that you're going to shine through whatever cloud that come your way, you're going to shine through all the rain that you see, because we have I don't know where any of the people around the world, but here in Texas, the sun is shining and it's pouring down raining, like whatever. It's storming, raining, and then the sun is shining. And that's how we have to be, those rays of light through whatever storm that we're going through whatever cloud that we're going through whatever eclipse that we're going through. We still have to be those rays of sun to be the light of the world, just as, Christ came here for us. So that's all I want to add to it.
I'm going to say three things, and that you must check yourself before you involve yourself in another relationship. The first thing that you cannot be in foreclosure in that relationship. If you're in foreclosure, everything is going to be taken eventually. It's going to be taken if you're in foreclosure. If your heart is in foreclosure, things are going to be taken away from you because you're bitter, and your heart has become stone. So you don't have a heart of flesh because you're in foreclosure. So people normally leave relationships when they're in foreclosure because they feel that they won't be able to keep it. And bankruptcy means you've lost everything. You've lost everything that was placed in your hands. You're bankrupt and you no longer have love. I want you to check the categories and check yourself and do a self-inventory. And the last thing is stop consolidating. You try to consolidate by bringing Jill, Jenny, Sarah, and Sue. You're trying to bring all of these relationships that you have been hurt in, that you were affected by, and you're trying to consolidate them all into one thing in one area in one person. But when you consolidate something all together, you're still stuck with the mess and you still have to pay the cost. And you're not free. You're consolidating everything and bringing it into one place. And you're bringing all of these relationships in the current relationship because you consolidated it. And now it's causing havoc and chaos in that relationship. Why? For one, you didn't have patience because you didn't know what love was. So that's it for me. Do you, okay. Listen, I thank you for tuning in tonight. In this conversation that we've had tonight, hopefully you can take and grasp from it, and you can pull from what we said tonight, and you can learn from it. You can learn, and you can also check to see where you are in these relationships or in your life. That's what I wanted to say tonight, and I thank you for tuning in to Covenant Keepers tonight with me, Apostle Terrence Greer.
And me, Pastor Nikki, girl.
And we'll see you next Wednesday on Covenant Keepers.